Hello, dear viewers. I am a global nationalist. I support nationalism in my country, India, and in all countries around the globe. Today, I want to talk about nationalism in India in current events, and I want to talk about the film Kashmiri Files. Let's begin. So, this film is about the story based on the genocide of Kashmiri Pandit community in 1990 January. This is about that event, that historical event, and I want to talk about how this film has done and what impact it's had on India, Indian politics, and society. First, I want to talk about the movie itself. It revolves around Krishna Pandit, who is a JNU student who thinks his parents were killed in an accident, as told by his grandfather, Pushkar Nath. But the truth is that his parents were actually driven out of Kashmir, were actually victims of the Kashmiri Pandit genocide of 1990. This is an event, a real event that took place in 1990 when in there was an insurgency that was began in Kashmir, backed by Pakistan terrorists and also a local Kashmiri Islamist militants. They harassed, attacked, and killed Hindus in that decade, the late 80s. And on the night of January 19th, 2020, I mean 1990, they sent a warning through all the mosques in Kashmir to the Kashmiri Pandits that they had to either relive, gelive, ya chelive, which means in Kashmiri language to convert, leave, or die. So Uh, this movie is about how he at first thought that his parents were killed in a car accident, but eventually we find out that his father was killed on the day of the Exodus, and his mother was later killed, and so was his brother. In as once they became refugees in the later period of history. So, and it talks about how what happened to the community of Kashmiri Pandits, how they were attacked, how the Indian government responded, and what their state is now, and also talks about how their uh, situation, their genocide or exodus or religious cleansing, whatever term you want to use, was not promoted and acknowledged by the intellectual and government establishment. It shows how in universities like JNU, professors like uh, Radhika Menon, who in the movie, who is based on two actual JNU professor named Nivedita Menon, and also Arundhati Roy, an author who isn't a professor. uh, Her character tries to and brainwash the students of the university against India and supports the uh, the Kashmiri movement and tries to portray it as a freedom struggle against what she calls a tyrannical fascist Indian state and says that they must support it, but she hides the fact that it is actually an Islamist movement. And it's basically the typical way that leftists and secularists in India have downplayed Kashmir Hindu atrocities and victimizations. So let me talk about the impact of the film here. far, uh, s- Anupam Kher's star, he's the lead star of the film. It rakes in a total of 234 crore collection. And in its third week, it has added around 30 crores to its total. And it is expected to end its theatrical run with a total business of around 250 crore net. And however, gross, it will probably um, pass the 300 crore mark. Now, let me talk about how people have reacted to this. First, I'll talk about the political impact. The BJP party and the government and the center and the states have completely supported the movie. The movie did not get much endorsement from other Bollywood filmmakers and actors. So this was an attempt to promote it. As far as I know, the BJP was not involved in this film. It was a production by Vivek Agnihotri and his I Am Buddha production house. But once the film started campaigning, started advertising itself, um, the BJP started promoting it. Now, here's how politicians have acted. The People's Democratic Party, a Kashmiri party, in uh, which used to be in power until a few years ago when president's rule was imposed. The former Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti and also the current PDP chief says that a commission should be set up to probe the exodus of Kashmiri Pandits from the valley. And I agree with this. I'm glad that they're saying, but I do wish that they had done something when they were in power to help Kashmiri Pandits return to the valley, and that they had spoken about it and opposed Kashmiri militancy, which they failed to do. They were often supportive of it, although in India, towards the Indian media and government, they would support India, but behind closed doors, they would support separatism. So now, according to the JNK government, 219 Pandits were killed in militancy from 1990 to 2010. But however, this number is disputed because many people say that a lot of people who were killed were not recorded because no FIRs were filed. Avijit Iyer Mitra in a podcast on, I think, the Sham Sharma show, has said that the Kashmiri Pandits could not file FIRs because the government at that time had turned hostile to them, so they couldn't approach government officers. The film shows this. So, yeah, I don't completely believe this number. I think it's much more. And the Jammu and Kashmir BJP General Secretary Ashok Kaul too demanded setting up a commission to probe the exodus of Pandits from the valley. He said a commission headed by a retired judge at the Supreme Court should be formed to probe the exodus. A white paper should be presented on the exodus of Pandits. And this is true. This is very correct. There should be a commission to find out what happened, the full extent of the horrors and the tragedy, and to find out who were the leaders at that time that were responsible, who were the terrorists, and whether they've been eliminated yet or if they're still at large, so that everything, the truth fully comes out. The Union Home Minister Amit Shah said that a panel uh, to be must be set up, headed by a Supreme Court judge, to bring out the truth of the atrocities. The A BJP MP from Haryana, Rohtak, Arvind Sharma, said it was a big step for the country's integrity. We are seeing through various mediums what happened in Kashmir, how efforts were made to trample upon Kashmiri Pandits, Gurjars, Dalits, and others. But to bring out the truth, I would urge the Home Minister to constitute a high level inquiry panel, as I said before. So, this is very likely to happen. This is a big political impact of the film. And Finance Minister Nirmala Sitaraman in Parliament was questioned during the budget session about the film, and she spoke about what their government has done to restore peace and normalcy in Jammu and Kashmir. She says that since the abrogation of Article 370, there was justice, democracy, and economic development has reached everyone in Jammu and Kashmir. An environment of normalcy was returning in the Union territory. Said that various impediments which prevailed in the state for industrial development have also been removed, and the industrial promotion scheme of J&K given by Government of India has opened new doors for the development in J&K. And she says that last year there has been a 33% drop in infiltration in 2021, a 90% decrease in ceasefire violations, a 61% decline in terrorism related incidents, and an 80% fall in abductions by terrorists. This is a great improvement. I'm really happy for this and hope that Kashmir can do better as time goes by. She also responded to the opposition, who said that the BJP was somewhat responsible because they had given support to the VP Singh led government at the center at the time in 1990. She said that terror killings were carried out in Kashmir when the National Conference was in power in J&K in an alliance with the Congress, and recalled that the then Governor Jagmohan's warnings about the terror overpowering the valley were ignored. That she says that the National Congress government, with the support of the Indian National Congress, was in power in J&K from November 1986 to January 18, 1990. And then uh, on January 19th, 1990, the government resigned, and Governor Jagmohan, who had left in July of the previous year, 1989, he reached J&K on January 20th. And so the blame was put on him. Uh, People said that the Kashmiri Pandits had voluntarily left because Jagmohan had uh, scared them, had fearmongered, and that there was no actual threat to Kashmiri Pandits. So, yeah, that's basically the political impact, basically the truth of the Kashmiri Pandits tragedy is coming out, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, this so that's the political impact. The BJP is capitalizing on this, and the opposition parties are either discrediting the film by saying it's fake propaganda, or they're simply attacking the BJP for not doing enough and somehow blaming them for it. But uh, ultimately, I think that the BJP can't be blamed for this, that it is the uh, Congress Party, the Jammu and Kashmir National Conference, and the People's Democratic Party, and generally the secular parties of India who are responsible because they, first of all, were in charge in Jammu and Kashmir at the time, and also after the exodus, they failed to bring back the Kashmiri Pandits for a generation, and they failed to end terrorism and make it safe, and they failed to even acknowledge the Pandits' genocide. It hasn't even been called a genocide, I think, since this in public, since this film has released. That's the big change that the film has brought about. Personally, I am not sure if this is a genocide, but I'm pretty sure it's not an exodus because an exodus is more or less voluntary and peaceful. There's no great force or threat leveled against the people who are leaving. But I don't think that this is genocide because the people who committed the atrocities did give the Kashmiri Pandits the option of leaving Kashmir. And however, though they did kill people, their ultimate intent was to simply remove them from Kashmir. And they also said, however, I think the best um, word to describe this tragedy is religious cleansing, whereby a religious community was removed from a certain place and also targeted for killings. A genocide would be that they were not allowed to leave but simply killed, and that's not what happened. So I think religious cleansing is the best term, but I will wait to see what the authorities and the judiciary and all come to define this tragedy as. And I'm glad that the film has made the Kashmiri Pandits tragedy a common talking point for India. People can talk about it freely. The Pandits are able to express themselves without being silenced. It's really good. Yeah, that's what I want to say. If you like this video, please click in the playlist here to see other videos like it. If you want to see my previous video, click on the video here. If you want to see the sources for my video, click the links in the description below. Thank you for watching. Vande Mataram.